Tom Verducci, Matt Vasgersian. We are celebrating the life of Bob Uecker, and we got the sad news this morning that he passed away today at the age of 90 with family at home. Among those that knew him well, the TV voice of the Brewers since 2007, our friend Brian Anderson joining us today. B.A., thanks for coming on, man, under tough circumstances. We asked Adam the same thing. I want to know the first time you met Bob Uecker and how that went for you as a young broadcaster just hired in Milwaukee.
Well, I was actually hoping to meet him when I was a minor league broadcaster, but at that time, the current Brewers television announcer, guy by the name of Matt Vasgersian, says that's not a good idea. He's not in a good mood right now, so let's wait. So it actually came years after that, but I met him. It's weird. I've never told this story, but because he didn't want me to, but he can't yell at me now. So he's responsible for me getting the Brewers job. We had a mutual friend. I didn't know Bob, but he had made a phone call that the Brewers should. He said, I don't know anything about this kid, but a friend of mine likes him and just give him a look. And because of that, and guys like you, they pulled my demo materials off the floor of the no category. And because Bob Uecker had said, like, hey, just give him a listen, and wherever it goes, it goes. And so that's kind of, I talked to him on the phone. And then, when I got the job, he really didn't talk to me for about the first 6 weeks. So all of spring training, just some, pleasantries, but no real meat, like no real discussion. I was the new guy, the TV guy, couldn't get in the window. But I tell you, we went on a road trip to Miami, and I was just almost ignoring him on some level because he wasn't interacting with me at all. But he grabbed me on the pant leg as I walked by. You know where his spot on the bus was, Matty? He sat right up front. He grabbed my pants and he goes, hey, I hear you're a golfer. I go, yeah. He goes, let's play tomorrow. So I said, okay. He goes, you set it up. So I'm calling everybody I know. Another thing he never knew that I never told him, this was on a Monday. So we traveled on a Sunday. This was on a Monday. And the golf courses were all the private clubs are closed. But I called a friend of mine who was the head pro at a golf course in Miami. The course was closed, but he opened it because I said, I need a win here. I need to bring Bob Uecker out, and I need a victory. And he brought the chef in, and he brought one of the kids to do the clubs and the cart. And the whole way around, Bob Uecker's like, I can't believe there's nobody out here today. It's a beautiful day. And I said, yeah. And then we had lunch, and the chef came over. There's nobody in the clubhouse. We ate lunch. He goes, this is amazing. How come nobody's here? It's a beautiful day. We never told him that the course was closed. They literally opened the golf course for Bob Uecker. And that was the day when we spent 5 hours together. The first 9 holes, it was the full download, how to be a Brewer broadcaster, who not to piss off, who to avoid, who to talk to, who not to. It was the whole thing. And then we made the turn, and he goes, you're playing pretty good. Why don't we were playing with a couple of guys, and he said, why don't we take these guys on? And man, I'd never been so nervous in my life. And I think I shot even par on the back 9, and we beat him. We beat the head pro and the club champion. And after that, we were all good. And we had a nice moment there. But man, I was scared to death of Bob Uecker, just like you were.
Yeah.
I was scared to death to even be in his presence because he was just an incredible force of nature. But over the years, it just, what a brilliant man. I don't want to get all sad right now because he'd be so pissed at all of us for even talking this way about him. His whole joke was, I can't wait till I take a Dixie in the booth and you guys all have to zip me up and roll me out of there. And here's what he told us. He told us that. He wanted us to roll him out and have to walk through the stands onto the elevator. He thought that was the funniest thing. He's like, I can't wait till you guys have to carry me out of here. So, God, I talk about the dash, and it's been written before, but on our tombstones, we're going to have the year we were born, the year we died, but that dash in the middle, Matty and Tom. And has there ever been a greater dash in our world than Bob Uecker?
Yeah.
I mean, that dash, that life that he lives, damn, man, like that's as special as it gets.
Absolutely full life. You're 100% correct. And there's so many iterations of what Bob did well, starting with playing. Yeah, he made it to the major leagues, but we know humorous guy, the stand-up, the Tonight Show, the acting, national broadcaster. But I want to dive into his work, BA, with you as a broadcaster, because I don't know if there's been a former player who is technically as good doing play-by-play as Bob Uecker. He made it look easy, but he made it look easy because he was so good at it. What was it about Bob that made him, first of all, connect so well with his audience, which is what you have to do as a radio broadcaster, but to do the job so well for so long?
Such a great question, and I try to express this whenever I can about Bob, because he does not talk broadcasting. We never had a discussion about mechanics of broadcasting, how to do play-by-play. I know Matt never had that discussion with him. He didn't even think of himself as a broadcaster. He had a locker. Last year, even up to his last year, he had a locker in the locker room. He thought of himself as a player. He never wore a credential. I never saw him wear a credential ever. It didn't matter. He could walk in anywhere he wanted. So it's not like, it wasn't because he wanted to be Bob Uecker and didn't need to have his face recognized. It was mostly because on that credential it said media, and he was never going to be associated with the media. He's at all these broadcaster. He's a Ford Frick winner, obviously, Radio Hall of Fame. His gift was that, and I learned this from him, is there was great knowledge, first of all. So he could be the analyst, he could dissect the game, but he also knew when to pull back, when to be funny, when to be serious. And he mostly, 90% of his play-by-play was he played it straight with the Brewers all these years. Everybody thinks he's hilarious, and he is. He's a comedic genius. But if you just sat down for a 3-hour broadcast, you played it straight. He called the game straight and proper. And there were moments of humor in there for sure, but he definitely had that gift of understanding the moment in front of him. He was fully present, not just to the game in front of him when he was on the air, but everything around him in life, fully present to people walking in, everyone in his space. He would even act like, he was aloof or wasn't paying attention. Man, he remembered everything. He knew when you didn't talk to him. Hey, I saw you yesterday. You didn't come by and say hello. He was fully present. So that ideology, that philosophy of life translated into a world-class broadcaster, because he felt every moment and he called it properly. He had great joy in his voice, so he was fun and easy to listen to. He had a real interesting resonance to his voice as well. It got really high-pitched when he got excited. Like he broke a lot of the broadcasting rules, I would say. You wouldn't teach that at Syracuse or Northwestern, but he got away with it because he was so brilliant at it. And just there's that it factor when you connect to an audience, and nobody had the it factor like Bob. It's the same reasons Johnny Carson brought him on so often, the same reasons he was such a star in the movies and Mr. Belvedere and all the commercials. Exact same formula, but he did that on the broadcast. And, Vin Scully is the greatest of all time. For me, hands down, Bob Uecker is the next guy on that list.
You're spot on with all that. That's so well said. And the idea that, he was so genuine on the air with his pitch. He was never trying to be that Ronnie Radio, hi, everybody. Like, he was never that guy. And the big moments, you're right. He went into this higher falsetto, number 3,000 for Robin. That was just natural for him, as was all of this humor, all of this sensibility. And I think he makes such a great point about that, in that he was always kind of aware. You betcha. He knew which broadcasters would come in and say hello before the game and which ones wouldn't. And I recall recent memory, the Scouts Foundation that Dennis Gilbert used to have, they had a banquet. And Bob was one of the guests on a year that I hosted the event, and we had a little exchange. And one of the honorees there was the actor James Caan. Sonny Corleone was there. And he was a little advanced in age, and he was a little out there. And you could never met him. And the exchange between a semi-lucid James Caan and Uecker, who was working with a full deck, was really something to watch, because Uecker was messing with him. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy Caan. Yeah, how you doing, pal? And Caan was kind of looking around and looking at the stars and said, "What's wrong, pal?" And it was just watching him negotiate things like that was such a pleasure. I mean, there's so many stories that I'm sure we could get into with you. You were with him for so many years. We appreciate the visit, BA. Thanks for sharing some of that with us. And, you know, our condolences to you and the entire Brewers family on a tough day.
Yeah, you know, it's good salve to talk about it, and that's what we do. We celebrate a life, and he, you know, there was the world's Bob Uecker, and then, as you know better than anyone, Matt, there was Wisconsin's Bob Uecker, and that's a different Bob Uecker, and that's where, you know, and it makes me sad thinking about it, but Brewers fans, it hurts.
Yeah, man.
It hurts.
It does. It does. Thanks for coming on, BA. You're the best, bud. Appreciate you.